If the Kansas City Chiefs want to reclaim the Lombardi Trophy next season, one thing is clear. The run game must get better. The 2024 offense leaned far too heavily on Patrick Mahomes, who once again carried the franchise with brilliance and resolve. But even the best quarterback in football needs support, and right now Kansas City's ground game isn't pulling its weight. That's why the 2025 NFL Draft has been widely viewed as a place for the Chiefs to add juice to the backfield. But what if the answer isn't in the draft? What if the solution is already proven and potentially on the market? According to Sterling Zai of Pro Football Network, one move could immediately transform the Chiefs' offense. Trade for New York Jets running back Breece Hall. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. Hall, entering the final year of his rookie contract, has shown game-breaking ability when healthy. He's explosive, dynamic in space, and a legitimate three-down back. But with the Jets bringing in rookie RBs Braylon, Allen, and Isaiah Davis, and a new GM in town, Hall's future in New York is anything but certain. Breece Hall's future with the Jets is uncertain after New York added a pair of rookie running backs. Z wrote, the Chiefs had the lowest explosive run rate, 4.7% from its running backs in 2024, and desperately need to provide Patrick Mahomes more margin for error. Let's take a deeper look. Hall's numbers tell the story. In 2024, Hall's production dipped slightly, 4.2 yards per carry and 0.12 EPA per rush, both down from his 2022-2023 averages. But that came behind a struggling Jets offensive line and in an offense that lacked rhythm or identity. The talent, it's still there. And in Andy Reid's scheme, with Mahomes spreading defenses thin and Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice occupying defenders underneath, Hall could thrive in a way he never could in New York. He wouldn't need to carry the load. He'd share touches with Isaiah Pacheco and perhaps Kareem Hunt, forming a backfield committee that's as explosive as it is versatile. Why a trade makes sense for both sides. The Jets' new general manager, Darren Mauge, has spent his entire NFL career with the Denver Broncos, an organization that rarely invests heavily in the running back position. From 2012 to 2024, Denver ranked 28th in RB spending league-wide. That history, combined with Hall's contract status, creates a clear trade window. If the Jets aren't prepared to pay him, they might be open to moving him for mid-round draft capital now. Rather than letting him walk for nothing in 2026, for Kansas City, that price would be worth it. Here's why. Pacheco is tough but wears down. He's battled through injuries and plays a physically punishing style. He needs help. Hunt is aging. While a valuable veteran, he doesn't bring the burst or upside that Hall does. The offense needs explosiveness. Kansas City ranked dead last in explosive run rate from its backs, 4.7% in 2024. That simply cannot continue. Yes, Mahomes is the most gifted quarterback in the world. He can make throws from platforms no one else dares to attempt. He turns broken plays into miracles and wins even when things aren't ideal. But that doesn't mean you test fate. Not when you've committed over $450 million to him and built your entire championship window around his ability to be the face of a dynasty. Mahomes can't be expected to keep delivering titles behind a line that's barely holding on. In 2024, Mahomes was sacked a career-high number of times, and that doesn't even begin to account for the hits, the hurries, and the broken pockets that forced him into Houdiniacs every week. The fact that the Chiefs still reached the Super Bowl is a testament to his greatness, but it's also a warning sign. Kansas City cannot afford to ignore the offensive line any longer. That's why in his latest mock draft, James Foster of the 33rd team has the Chiefs doing the only thing that makes sense at pick number 31, drafting a lineman with real pedigree and upside. Kelvin Banks Jr. Kansas City takes Kelvin Banks, who would be an upgrade at left tackle or left guard. Foster wrote, Banks has 3 years and more than 2,700 snaps of experience at left tackle, but guard could end up being his best position in the NFL. He needs to improve his balance in the run game, but he's a good athlete with precise hands who will give Patrick Mahomes more time to operate. Banks isn't just a fill-in. He's a player with real starting potential at multiple positions. At 6'4", 320 lbs, Banks has been an Iron Man for Texas, logging thousands of reps against elite pass rushers in the Big 12. His footwork, quickness, and hand placement make him a natural pass protector, even if his run blocking still needs polish. But here's the key: he gives the Chiefs flexibility. He could line up at left tackle and challenge Jalon Moore immediately, or slide inside to left guard if Kingsley Suamataia moves outside. Wherever he plays, Banks brings youth, durability, and pedigree to a unit that desperately needs all three. And Kansas City's need is urgent. Donovan Smith is gone. Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey are locked in, but they can't carry the entire line. Suamataia and Wanya Morris are still question marks. Moore was a value signing, not a guaranteed starter. If the Chiefs don't secure protection for Mahomes now, they risk watching this dynasty lose its edge. One sack, one hurry, one missed block at a time. Yes, the Chiefs will still be favored in the AFC West. Yes, they're still the team to beat in January. But let's not pretend this train can keep rolling if Mahomes doesn't have time to operate. Football doesn't care how talented your quarterback is if he's running for his life. The Chiefs have dodged the O-line issue long enough. Now it's caught up with them. And with a talent like Kelvin Banks potentially sitting there at pick 31, it's time for Brett Veach to make the move that says to Mahomes, to the locker room, and to the league, we've got your back, literally. With free agency gutting key defensive contributors, especially up front, the Chiefs know they can't roll into September hoping Chris Jones and George Karlaftis carry the entire load again. Not in an AFC that's getting deeper, faster, and more explosive by the year. And if there's one man who understands what's needed, it's Steve Spagnuolo. The longtime defensive coordinator has become a Kansas City legend, the architect of 3 Super Bowl winning defenses, and a master of postseason game plans. His brilliance isn't just in the X's and O's. It's in the way he finds the perfect chess pieces to make his system shine. But even a genius needs talent to work with. And this year, Spags will be laser focused on the defensive line. Steve Spagnuolo loves tall, strong, versatile defensive linemen, said Nate Taylor of The Athletic. The Chiefs have players that fit that description in Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, Jerry Tillery, and Janarius Robinson. But only Jones and Karlaftis are on the team's salary cap sheet for 2026. The Chiefs should prioritize adding youth and dynamic athleticism to their pass rush this year. That's not just a suggestion, that's the blueprint, and one name keeps rising to the top of Kansas City's potential draft board. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Nolan has been consistently mocked to the Chiefs over the past few weeks, and with good reason. At 6'4", 315 pounds, he fits Spagnuolo's mold to perfection. Big, violent, disruptive, and capable of lining up anywhere along the interior. He's not just a run plugger, he's a quarterback hunter. Fox Sports analyst Jeff Schwartz is fully on board. I will be the lone holdout that does not mock an offensive lineman to the Chiefs, Schwartz said. Their most pressing need is a pass rusher inside opposite of Chris Jones. That statement flips the narrative. While many assume Kansas City will go offensive line with pick number 31, Schwartz believes, and he's not alone, that the case true priority is on the other side of the ball. Why? Because if the Chiefs can create consistent interior pressure with just 4 rushes, it unlocks the full power of Spags' playbook. It gives the linebackers freedom. It lets Trent McDuffie and company disguise coverages, and it removes the need to blitz, which is where the Chiefs get most exposed. Walter Nolan isn't a finished product yet. He still needs polish with his hand placement and leverage, and some scouts question his motor at times. But in Kansas City, he'd be learning every day from Chris Jones, the gold standard of modern defensive tackles. And here's the bigger picture. Jones turns 31 this year. He's still elite, but the Chiefs need to start thinking succession plan. Drafting Nolan now gives them a transition of power, one that lets the defense stay dominant for the next 5 years without skipping a beat. Let's not forget the Chiefs have won championships with defense just as much as offense. In fact, Their most recent Super Bowl runs were fueled by elite defensive line play, timely takeaways, and suffocating red zone coverage. But to keep that going, they need fresh legs, new weapons, and a young star who can grow into the next face of the front seven. Walter Nolen might be that guy. And if he's still on the board at pick number 31, it's time to run the card in and let Spags do what he does best. Build another nightmare for the rest of the NFL. Aside from a few sparks from rookie wide receiver Xavier Worthy, the Chiefs lacked true vertical firepower in 2024. That deficiency didn't prevent them from returning to the biggest stage in football, but it was a major reason they didn't. Finish the job. The days of effortlessly stretching defenses with speed, shifting momentum with a single play, and leaving coordinators guessing have slowed. And with Travis Kelce nearing the end of a Hall of Fame career, the team may soon face a crossroads. Do you keep building slowly through the draft? Or do you swing big to return to elite form? Enter Tyreek Hill. Yes, that Tyreek Hill. In a stunning suggestion that's now catching serious attention, Sterling Sy of Pro Football Network named the Kansas City Chiefs as one of the top candidates to make a blockbuster trade for their former All-Pro wide receiver. A move that would instantly jolt the offense back to life and reunite Hill with Patrick Mahomes in a bid to recapture the unmatched chemistry they once shared. Hill is effectively in a contract year, as he won't be back on his $51.9 million cap number in 2026, she wrote. However, his base salary for this season is only $10 million, making him very tradable if the Dolphins change their mind about entertaining trade offers for another aging core player. And here's the kicker. Would Hill's original temp trade Xavier Worthy and a second rounder to reunite the Cheetah and Patrick Mahomes? It's a provocative proposal, but also one the Chiefs would have to consider. Let's unpack it. Why Hill makes sense again. Since trading him to Miami in 2022, the Chiefs have tried to fill the void with committee approaches. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, none of whom have consistently delivered. Even with the recent additions of Worthy and Hollywood Brown, Kansas City's offense hasn't returned to its 2018-2021 dominance. Tyreek Hill, even at 31 years old, is still one of the most electric players in the NFL. In 2023, he led the league in receiving yards, 1,799 receiving touchdowns, 13, and he followed it up with 959 yards and 6 TDs in 2024. Despite Miami's QB struggles, Mahomes and Hill didn't just produce, they broke football. From broken plays to perfect timing on deep balls, their chemistry was unrivaled. Add that kind of dynamism back to this offense, and suddenly defenses can't press, blitz, or bracket the way they've grown accustomed to. The cost Worthy in a second rounder? Giving up Xavier Worthy, a second-year receiver with blazing speed, would hurt. No doubt. But if Miami is truly willing to part with Hill for Worthy and a second-round pick, that's a conversation Kansas City must have. Because while Worthy has potential, Hill is proven. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champion who already knows the system, locker room, and most importantly, the quarterback. And financially, it's workable. Hill is due $10 million in base salary in 2025, a number the Chiefs can absorb, especially if it's followed by a new multi-year extension that lowers the short-term cap hit and restructures the bloated $51.9 million cap number he carries for 2026. What about the Dolphins? Miami's GM Chris Grier has publicly stated he wants at least 2 first-rounders to move Hill, but that's likely posturing. The Dolphins are aging, cap-strapped, and have loaded up on younger offensive weapons. If the right deal appears, they'll listen. And if Hill is truly available, Kansas City should be first in line.